Hello again. I just wanted to conclude this project with some commentary. So, firstly, the frozen chicken portions and chicken portions issue. Looking at the single item by city section and starting with the frozen chicken portions, we'll note that the data starts from September 2020 all the way up to March 2023. And if we look at the chicken portions, data only starts from April 2023 all the way to the end November 2024, with the March and April numbers being pretty close there. So it seems that in April 2023, they switched over from calling this frozen chicken portions to just chicken portions. This happens with a bunch of items in the data. At some point while cleaning the data, we found beef liver and beef livers, and we also had low-fat milk that was switched over to full cream milk. There was also a discrepancy on how the unit size for stock cubes was described. So anyway, that is just an easy adjustment with renaming. And yes, another note is that it is quite important to note that these values are not normalized. That is, we do need to take heed of the actual quantities tracked. So, for instance, here we would say, okay, beef is consistently above fish. So we would want an easy mistake to make would be to say that beef is more expensive than fish, but one needs to make sure that we're comparing like for like. That is the same quantity of beef and fish, and that's the importance of making sure, looking at the quantities tracked and making sure that they are actually the same. So if we look at beef, we have 2 kgs, and fish we're tracking 2 kgs. So in that case, that is fine. But if we included, say, what's this, chicken portions or frozen chicken portions, which is tracked at 10 kgs, what we would get is, where is it? There, and it would be very easy to consistently to think that we are seeing that frozen chicken portions consistently cost more than beef and fish. But what we're actually saying here is that we spend more consistently on frozen chicken portions than we spend on either beef or fish. So that distinction needs to be made, and one needs to be cognizant of the actual tracked quantities. And yeah, if you want to look at which one is indeed more expensive, one would need to normalize using the tracked quantities, and that would be another layer of analysis that could be done. On the seasonal data, we have some other items that might be showing seasonal fluctuations. For example, butternut, and well, these are mostly vegetables. So see onions showing a little bit of a peak there and a drop. So I'm guessing this is like onion season. Looks like it. Previously we saw the orange, and I think potatoes might be showing. Kind of. And as I remember correctly, spinach and tomatoes. Now the rest of my comments are more relating to the source report. Just going through this. It's got some pretty interesting information, some socioeconomic data from Stats.SA. They do make quite a lot of reference to the national minimum wage. It seems that essentially the institute argues that there's a shortfall in the minimum wage and that essentially it's not really enough or not really a living wage. So yeah, that's interesting. But also looking at the food tract, interestingly here we have coffee creamer specifically named as Cremora. This I just found an interesting example of brand power. The fact that we didn't use the generic coffee creamer, but we specified the actual brand. Also, this is another one of those apricot jam, specifically apricot jam and not just jam. There is also mention of personal hygiene products in the report, so that's also an index that's tracked. This Vaseline is also another example of brand power rather than just saying petroleum jelly. Interesting. And also specifically full cream milk, I found that very interesting. When I first read this, I found these really funny, but yeah, to be that specific. Another one, inyama yange pagati. Yeah, it was strange that the statisticians actually used that and didn't just say intestine. And polony, at this point I was kind of surprised that they didn't use the phrasing French polony. And some other notes. Here's another example of brand power, specifically naming G's flute rather than, I think it's drain cleaner. And there's also a breakdown of some what is this national minimum wage scenarios, again pointing to the whole argument that the institute kind of makes, that there is a shortfall in the national minimum wage and that perhaps the national minimum wage needs to be increased. So that seems to be, I guess, the main argument, or is it the main point of the institute? And they're supporting this by keeping track of how much basic household goods cost. And yeah, this is a pretty interesting report by the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group, and yeah, it's free on their website. Definitely worth a read, I would say. Recommend. And yeah, so thank you.